strong Pokémon, weak Pokémon. That is only the selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers should try to win with the Pokémon they love best. Or so it would seem. But is this actually true? Well, yes and no. Pokémon battles, like any other competitive game, have a meta consisting of commonly used strong units. However, there is a numerous group of Pokémon normally considered bad that actually have their own niche and can work in some scenarios. Of course, not all Pokémon are going to be viable. For example, Valentine's Day was just a week ago, if you're watching the video when it was just published. So, if your favorite Pokémon is the heart-shaped love disc, I've got bad news for you. And speaking of, what was Game Freak thinking when they made Alomomola a totally separated Pokémon from Luvdisc? They clearly should be in the same evolutionary line. Anyway, if you're curious to know which among the weak mons have a chance, then you're in the right place, because this is the topic of this video. So welcome to Ironically Bundled. Get yourself a cookie and enjoy. The first example I'm going to give you is the one and only legendary Pachirisu. Can you believe this little guy won the World Championship in 2014? This single-stage rodent from Sinnoh is part of the common early route Pick-a-Clone family that gets expanded each generation. It has the same BST as lots of the middle stage starters, with its main stats being speed but also both defenses. 2 out of its 3 abilities are totally useless in battle, but one of them is decent, Volt Absorb. So how exactly was it so good? Lots of the merit, besides the combination of its skilled trainer and team composition, goes to its moves. Most importantly, it learns Follow Me and with its sufficient bulk is capable of withstanding heavy hits. It also learns Super Fang, which automatically halves the opponent's HP, regardless of Pachirisu's low attack stat or Intimidate. Then Nuzzle, which is like Thunder Wave, but better. It breaks potential focus sashes and its accuracy is 100%. Now merge all of that together, and you can see how it was able to make such a difference. Now we have Shuckle. This Pokémon is unique, to say the least. It's a bug rock, which, if not considered the worst type, it's still an awkward combination. It's usually only used in singles to set up stealth rocks and sticky webs, then it just faints. I mean, look at these stats. 4 of them are rock bottom. Get it? Because it's a rock type. Namely HP, both attacks and speed. The defenses are huge in contrast, but it can't do too much with them because of the low HP. Its abilities are Sturdy, Gluttony, and Contrary, which aren't actually bad, but they don't help it much. Its secret lies in its moves. In fact, it learns Power Split and Power Trick. The first averages the user's attack and special attack with the opponent's. The latter switches the user's attack with its defense. So it has ways of monumentally rising its attack, but still it wouldn't be able to do much with that speed, so it does require a teammate to use Trick Room. After that though, it can become extremely dangerous and sweep teams. Speaking of unique Pokémon that have rock bottom stats, I have another bug type for you, but also ghost. Shedinja. It's literally an empty shell, a scrap of another Pokémon, with 1 single HP at its disposal and a total of 236 BST. Its only semi-decent stat is attack, yet it still manages to be viable sometimes. In fact, it's the only Pokémon out of the 1000 plus to have the Wonder Guard ability, meaning only super effective moves can damage it. 5 types out of 18, so not too bad. It's immune to everything else, except status conditions like burn or poison, and weather such as sandstorm or hail, which instantly KO the guy. However, it's usually ran with either safety goggles, which negate weather damage, or focus sash, which lets it take 2 super effective hits. Its moves aren't bad. It learns Shadow Sneak, Poltergeist, Will-O-Wisp, or the infamous Ally Switch, meaning it can potentially take every hit away from its partner Pokémon as long as it's not super effective. It pops up every once in a while in doubles and can be a threat if unprepared, since if you can't hit it, you effectively just lose. The next Pokémon on the list, while not seen very often at all in competitive, can still be a threat, especially in singles. I'm talking about Wobbuffet. Again, this mon's stats are quite weird, very high HP and some bulk. It cannot learn any damaging moves, it's literally a blue punching bag. However, it can be very dangerous, particularly in Nuzlocke, since its main ability is Shadow Tag, making you unable to escape or switch out, forcing you to attack it and hope you don't get blown away from either counter for physical moves or Mirror Coat for special. It also learns Destiny Bond and Encore. It's a trap. Up next we have Ditto. It's just a blob with laughable stats, and it only knows one move, Transform, which lets it morph into the opposing Pokémon and borrow their moves, ability, buffs or debuffs, and stats with the exception of HP. It wouldn't be used if it wasn't for its one-of-a-kind hidden ability, Imposter, which allows it to transform automatically upon entering battles. It's usually ran with Choice Scarf, locking it on one move but making it faster than the Pokémon it copied. It can be quite popular at the start of competitive formats, when the meta is unstable, but as time goes on it gradually loses its hold. Next I want to quickly mention a wild card, literally. It's Farfetch'd. As expected, it doesn't have anything special in its favor in the games, it's just a weak early route normal type. However, for those of you who play Pocket TCG, you know that's where it shines. It's a common, basic, colorless card, and it does 40 damage with 1 energy on turn 1, with no drawbacks. Pretty strong. But anyway, let's turn our attention back to the actual console games. I have some unevolved early stage Pokémon I want to talk about. Normally there would be no reason to run a middle stage instead of their final Evo, but here we are, and they have their reason. One of them is Dusclops. This pure ghost type Pokémon is almost always ran instead of its better Evo, Dusknoir, in competitive. The reason is, while Dusclops has less attack, it actually doesn't need it since it best shines as a tank or wall. Its only damaging move is usually Nightshade, which doesn't care about the user's attack stats. Its defenses are almost the same as Dusknoir's, as well as HP, but with the help of an Eviolite, it actually becomes bulkier than its Evo. Without mentioning its speed that is slower and so better for Trick Room, which it learns. Dusknoir's speed sits at an awkward number. Not fast, but not too slow either. Another unevolved baby Pokémon which sometimes finds its niche in competitive is Riolu. Many people don't know this and overlook this Pokémon, but it actually has Prankster as ability, which it then loses when it evolves in Lucario. This combined with Coaching, a move that boosts an ally's attack and defense, even if they use Protect, I believe, makes it a fun, viable support. It also learns other useful status moves such as Quick Guard, Screech, Copycat, or even Sunny Day and Rain Dance. All of those will have priority. It will mostly hold an Eviolite or Focus Sash. Continuing the unevolved Pokémon streak, we have Clefairy. While Clefable shines in singles, Clefairy is the one ran most in doubles and VGC. The reason for that is Clefairy has Friend Guard as hidden ability, and it loses it upon evolving. That makes allies take less damage. Plus, when given an Eviolite, its bulk is comparable or better than its Evo. And of course it knows the same great supporting moves, such as Follow Me in particular. Our last unevolved Pokémon on the list is Murkrow. Just like the previous two, it has a great hidden ability which it loses upon evolving, being Prankster. That alone makes it more viable than Honchkrow in doubles. As you may guess, it's also ran with either Eviolite or Focus Sash, and as a support unit, will only run great status moves such as Tailwind, Thunder Wave, or Taunt, with the exception of Foul Play. Another good thing about it is that it's a dark type, meaning it cannot be hit with status moves from other Prankster users. This change was implemented in Gen 7. Another Pokémon that got buffed in Gen 7 that sees lots of use in VGC, but was previously considered one of the worst mons ever is Pelipper. It's a water flying type, so 4 times weak to electric with okay stats but awkward speed. It was never used previously, but was blessed with the Drizzle ability, meaning it will automatically set up rain when entering battles. Only 3 Pokémon have this ability currently, which makes this Pokémon even more valuable. the others being Politoed and Kyogre. It also knows nice moves such as Tailwind, Wide Guard, and Hurricane, which never misses in rain. I'll quickly mention its sibling Pokémon, Torkoal. It also saw very little usage before Gen 7, but was then buffed with the opposite ability, Drought, setting Sun up automatically when entering battles. Also knows amazing moves like Eruption and Heat Wave, although it's ran in slow teams with Trick Room. It's time for the last Pokémon on this list, which is Smeargle. This pure normal type Pokémon, just like its colleagues, has awful stats, with an interesting, although unpredictable, ability Moody, which will boost and lower the user's stats randomly every turn. However, this ability isn't why it's considered one of the best out of the worst Mons. It's because of its own niche move, Sketch, which lets it learn just about any move in existence, with a few exceptions. You can see why it's good, no need to explain this one, I believe. It was also the reason Darkray's Dark Void was nerfed to have 50% accuracy. I'm not sure why they didn't just remove the ability for this Pokémon to learn that move, instead of indirectly nerfing Darkrai, but oh well. That's it. We've reached the conclusion. I'm done yapping. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. If you have any other Pokémon which fits the list that I missed, then let me know in the comments. I'm also curious to know if your favorite Pokémon is viable in competitive battles with its own specific niche, or is it just a cute Shouldermon that keeps you company? That said, if you enjoyed this, then consider leaving a like and subscribe for more content. That's all from me. See ya.